Hello, Flosstube. I'm Jessica, the Rainy Day Stitcher. Today is Saturday, January 16th of 2020, and this is Flosstube number 1. So since this is my very first Flosstube, I thought I would tell you a little bit about myself, my stitching, show a few finishes, some of my current whips, and I even have a little bit of haul just from the last week or so. So about me, I am an art historian. I am from Dallas, and I grew up there and then relocated to Austin to go to graduate school. And then I got a job in Denver, and so I headed out here to the Mile High City, and I've been here about 5.5 years, and it's fabulous. I love being in beautiful Colorado, but I haven't been a needle worker for years and years and years. Unlike many of you on Flosstube whose videos I watch, I'm a new stitcher. I did have one project though that I'll tell you about way back in the day, but I do want to say that I came from a very crafty family. My grandmother paints. She did the painting here. That's a copy of a Fragonard. I've got paintings by her all over my apartment. My mother paints, sews clothes. So I grew up like dabbling in the crafting world. I know how to crochet. I've sewn clothing items, made curtains and soap and decorated cakes and all kinds of stuff. But not a lot of needlework. I kind of always knew it was a thing, but didn't know a whole lot about it. But as I said, I did have one project I would tell you about. So I also, in addition to being an art historian in Denver, I live here with my 17-year-old kid. And when they were 2 or 3, graduating from the crib to the like big kid bed, they picked out a Care Bear bedspread. And when I was in Joann's, I came across a little Care Bear cross-stitch kit. So I picked it up and was working on it. I forget exactly which Care Bear it was, but one of the teal, sort of teal blue bears. It's kind of small, maybe 5 inches. Not especially difficult, but I really liked working on it, and I got a lot done. And I took it with me on an airplane, and I was sitting there on the plane, sort of stitching, spending time like one does when you can travel, right? Not in 2020 or 2021. Anyway, the gentleman behind me stands up, I'm not really sure why, holding his brand new from the flight attendant Coke and whiskey. He's fiddling with his bag in the overhead. I'm pretty sure that this was not his first drink because he lost his balance and upended the drink all over me and all over my stitching. I was absolutely drenched. Everything was sticky and brown and smelled like booze, and I was livid. Just absolutely furious, and I was so upset that I gave the project to the flight attendant and told her to chunk it in the bin. Didn't want to clean it, didn't want to try to save it, just move on with my life. And I did, and I never picked up another project. I even kind of stopped crafting. Grad school took up my entire life for like a decade. So when I moved to Colorado, I pared all of my craft room down to one small box. Sold my sewing machine and my serger, and basically just kept some like crochet needles and some glue gun and odds and ends. So fast forward to 2020 and the pandemic and teaching online and all of the stress that everybody in the world was going through, not knowing what was happening and being scared by what was going on, and shutdowns and no toilet paper and you know, there was this moment when everybody started looking for coping mechanisms and outlets. You know, it's the time when everyone started baking sourdough bread and doing home yoga. I should also say that I have an interstate marriage, so I have been living in Colorado, but my spouse is still in Austin, Texas. So when the pandemic started to really gear up and our kids' school here in Colorado went all online, I gathered everything up, threw everything in the car, and we relocated so that we could all be together and that we could shelter in place together. And there would be another adult to help with like the epic grocery shopping, just stuff and all of that, right? But before we got in the car, I had this moment of, you know, like school's going to be over soon, you know, it's March, April, and I'm going to need something. I'm going to need like something kind of meditative and zen and can just decompress. So I got out that box, the stitching box, and I shouldn't say, it wasn't a sticky box. Got out the craft box and dug through it, found some, you know, colored pencils and adult coloring books and my crochet needles. And I also found a small cross-stitch kit. No idea where it came from. I tend to also, especially in Texas, and I have family in Missouri and whatnot, stop in small towns, and I like to support small businesses, so I probably picked it up at some little something or other. I have no idea. No idea. It's divine providence. One of the saints put it in there for me. I've nothing, no clue where it came from. But I pulled it out. I tossed it in the car with like toilet paper I had and some cans of soup and my yoga mats and all that kind of stuff. And once I sort of got all my online teaching situated, I started pulling this out and working on it. So the project is called Sweet Treat. This is my very first finished cross stitch. It was by a brand called Creative Accents, very clearly like stamped made in the USA. It's got these adorable little, I'm coming a little closer, adorable little hummingbirds and some trumpet vine. And even though it's kind of small, it was a really good starter kit. It does have some pretty intricate backstitching on the wings in terms of like doing all of this, you know, for a beginner piece. Some half stitches, French knots. It has some blended color. So I got a lot of experience out of this little guy. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with it. I haven't finished it because I don't know if I'm going to frame it or flat fold it or make it into a pillow. I have no clue, and I had no clue when I started. It was just like this repetitive motion that I needed and I really just loved. So I knew I was coming down to the end of Sweet Treat, and I didn't want to be done. I wanted to keep working on something, but my birthday was just around the corner, so I decided, sweet treat, I'm gonna treat myself. And I went on to Etsy. So naive, absolutely no idea what I'm doing. I bought one pattern. I bought one singular needle minder. Like, who buys one needle minder? Has it shipped from wherever? One project bag, one little threader, like all of these like little singulars. I had no idea about like the multiplicity that is stitchy stuff. And the pattern I bought, also no idea what I was doing. So my second project and my second finish is this one. This is fine. I bought it from Cross Stitching Lovers on Etsy. And even though it is, you know, a lot of block color and not a ton of colors, it's like 6.5 inches square of full coverage. It's a lot of stitches. I thought I would whip this out in like a weekend. No clue what this was. And as I was working on it, I was Googling, right? I'd be walking the dog and Googling tips for cross stitching, and because I'm really just sort of starting to get into it. And then I found Flosstube, and right, like you all work on such cool stuff, and it really helped me move from you know, the tiny little nook that is stitching supplies at like Michael's to the world that is cross stitching. And I also learned that you don't have to do just one project. I know. So I finished This Is Fine, and I didn't just start one, I started several, and I right into the deep end of it. So the next project that I started, this part of the like August, that was me being way, way, way overly ambitious, and I'm not done being overly ambitious, right? I'm already thinking about mania and kitting stuff up, and yeah, I think I've already geared up like 50 years worth of stitching. But anyway, one of my August projects that I started was this. Oops, upside down. This, which is Guns and Ships. I don't have my iPad in here, so I can't show you the like full picture of what these things look for. But you can look it up. It's from Taylor and Cromwell on Etsy. I'm doing it on, hold on a second. I have no idea if that's going to be an issue. It gave me a battery warning. I guess I'll watch it and see what that does for you all. I might just be standing here being like, oh. Anyway, so Guns and Ships that I am doing on 16 count Black Ada. It's the lyrics to one of the songs from Hamilton. I'm going to be working on this a lot this spring and summer. I'm hoping to get it done, you know, by June or July, so that I can send it with my kid when they go off to college. I have a big time theater kid who went into a total like Hamilton phase in 8th grade. We would be driving to Texas, and they would put on the Hamilton cast recording on like a loop. Yeah, so we would just get to the end. He would, you know, meet everybody in the hereafter, and then we would start over. Dun, 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 dun. And yeah, after about 3 loops, I would be like, I need a break. Like, I love Hamilton. This is amazing, but like, it's about a 14-hour drive from Denver to Austin, and if I let them, they would just play Hamilton the whole 14 hours straight. So when I saw this pattern, it's their favorite song. It's Lafayette's song and rap, and it's all the lyrics sort of worked together into this really cool sort of textographic kind of image. But I decided that I didn't just want to do it in the called for DMC colors. You know, the Hamilton posters are glittery gold. They're glitzy. So it's a little hard to make out. Like, this is going to say, you know, Lafayette. It's going to say Hamilton. And the gold in the names, I am doing the top leg in Krenek blending filament. And then sort of over here, there's the Hamilton star, like my needle minder, which is by Valerie's Live and Die LA group, which I shouldn't say this because right now you can still get fabric. It's not like, you know, Bestitch Me's in Friday night fight fabric nights that are like knock 'em, drag 'em down. But Valerie's stuff is awesome. I have several of her fabrics here I'm going to show you. And that's where I got the needle minder from. But, you know, it's this gold, right? So there's also one of these stars over here, and I'm going to do that in the Krenek too. So I went, my third project, Black Ada, drop it from 14 to 16 count, and adding in some Krenek glitter. I didn't realize how hard it was to work with those metallic threads. Oh, and I should also show you, this is that very first project bag that I bought. I don't remember where I got it from, and I didn't look it up, but it's got this adorable green polka dots, and then the front and the back is all these like freakishly adorable mama and baby sloths. And since David Attenborough says it as sloth, that's what we do in this household, because David Attenborough is the bomb. So that's my Guns and Ships that I'm sure you'll see in the future Flosstube. So I started that late July, early August, third cross stitch project, because I don't count the Care Bear kerfuffle. And because I learned that you can work on multiple things, I also started this. And I don't have the, again, cover image for you, but this is Heaven and Earth Design. And it is Beachcomber's Bounty by Amy Stewart. It's the beautiful one with all the like shells and the ocean waves and a little bit of grass. It's huge because I didn't just go for Heaven and Earth Design. I didn't just do an Amy Stewart Hades, which are particularly kind of big and complicated. I did Max Color. So this sucker has 238 different DMC colors in it. I didn't buy it all at once, but I do, as of this week, have all of them. Just when I would be out, you know, the Petco's right next to the Michael's at my sort of local strippy bit. So if I'm getting cat or dog food, I would go in, kept the list in my car, get $5 worth of DMC. 2 weeks later, do the same thing. I was treating myself, and if I consistently did my yoga, I could go get $10 worth of DMC. And over the last 6 months, I have slowly gotten my hands on the 240 some odd skeins that is this project. There's not a lot in here, maybe about 400 stitches, because the first time I did it, total newbie mistake, I did it 2 over 1 full cross, and it was completely untenable. You know, I couldn't get my needle through. The back was this like big old knot, even though I'm usually kind of like, I'm not super neat of a stitcher, but I'm not super messy either, and this was just not working. So I frogged it all out and started over using 1 thread over 1, and working a ton better. So you can just kind of see there's the edge of a little bit of a starfish arm. You can kind of see these little stickery, suckery bits. And I'm hoping this summer to really sort of put some work into this. I don't remember exactly where my needles binders are from, but this one, if you can kind of see, I'll get him sideways, is this adorable little whale shark. I love him so much. So started this around the same time as I started Guns and Ships, and in my Flosstube exploration and the Facebook groups, I wasn't in any Facebook groups for anything other than a couple of like teaching art history ones. Now I'm in like 40 stitching groups. So of course in August, what do I hear about? I hear about the Dark Queen of the Sea. I love me some cephalopods. I'll even show this bag isn't necessarily a cross-stitch project bag specific, but my BFF got this for me when we were in grad school. She like picked it up at Sprouts or Whole Foods or something, and I've just like carried it around and put random things in it, and now it's what it goes into. So when I heard there was a hashtag not a mermaid Sal, I didn't know what a Sal was. I had to like figure that out. But that was Choose Your Own Adventure. It was like 2 in the morning, and I'm like, buy, right? Sign me up. Went to Under the Sea Fabrics, bought the fabric and the specialty, you know, petite treasure braids and the everything, right? Just like, boom, I'm here for it. Now I know that I have no complaints about the Dark Queen. I think she's amazing. But I've learned since then to be a little more judicious about the Sals. Because you don't know what they're going to be, right? So you might like them, you might not. I don't want to put a bunch of time and energy into something if I'm not going to like it. So I've started a list. This year, I've only been stitching for like 9 months, but I went and got a little planner, and there's a page in there where I'm putting down the Sals that I'm watching, and I figure once like the first room or so drops, then I'll make a decision about whether or not I want to do it. But anyway, no, I was like, boom, Dark Queen of the Sea, hashtag not a mermaid. Yeah, that's for me. So, and no regrets. This lady is amazing, and I have kept up every month since. I have it on the Bewitched Under the Sea fabric. So, all of the standard color DMC that Erin at, I'll come back, Autumn Lane Stitchery calls for, with one tiny, tiny exception, and that is that when Erin put out the hair pack, which I freaking love, that is brilliant, I went in and got it, and then I switched up the ombre a little bit. So her blue up here is the original blue from the original blue hair, and then I did the ombre into the teal, that were the teal colors. And the reason I did this is, you can't tell because I have pandemic hair. I haven't had a haircut in 12 months. But usually it's like a short bob, and for the last 5 years, basically, since I got my teaching job, it's been wacky colors every year. So one year it's electric red, another year it's purples, but my favorite was the year I did peacock. So I did the blues and the teals like this. So I cannot wait to get my hair back once it's, you know, safe to be around people. You know, other hand is having those fashion colors is kind of a pain to keep up, and so it's why do that when my whole life is spent with the cats, and my students see me as a little box on Zoom in the corner. So nope, I'm just like rocking the long pandemic hair with the weird, so see it's got blonde in it. You don't really care about my hair, but that's where like the bright color, the bleach out for the color. So it's got this weird not highlight stuff going on, and whatever, man. I'll fix it when I get vaccinated. Anyway, so Dark Queen has been one of the things I've been working on. But I haven't been working so much on Guns and Ships and Beachcomber's Bounty because I discovered holiday stitching. So, you know, from mid-September through Halloween, I was doing Halloween stitching. I have a project. I didn't bring it. I'll show it the next time. I missed Dark 13 this year for reasons. But when I do it, or this month, when I do it next month, I'll show it in whatever is the Flosstube after that. But I also did like Christmas stitching and all kinds of stuff. So that's what I've been working on. And now that the holiday sort of fall winter season is behind us, I'll be getting back to those. But in the meantime, the other things that I've been working on this month is this. I don't remember which way is up, but it doesn't matter because I'm in the middle and it's a square. But this is my New Year, New Start. This is Celtic Snow by Northern Expressions Needlework. I'm doing it on the Celtic Snow fabric that was dyed by Valerie at Live and Dye LA. Love Valerie. I'm doing it in the called for dinky dyes, and it's beautiful and I love it. I cannot wait to get more work done on this. I just have this tiny start because I only worked on it for like 2 days before I went back to the Dark Queen of the Sea. I was a little bit behind with December because Sister has a lot of hair. Like hair for days. So I was still kind of working on that the first week of January, and then did the January part this last week. The other holiday stitching that I did in December was this one. I can come about here. This is Jeweled Baubles by Shannon Christine Design, done in all the called for DMC colors and the Kreinik. This is on hand-dyed Quaker cloth by hand-dyed by Rolanda. And this is going to be my Santa Sunday piece until I get it finished. And then I'll turn to the Celtic Snow. And I am so close. Okay, first off, isn't this like freakishly beautiful? I love this piece. And all I have left is this little bitty bauble down here. So today's Saturday. I'm going to pull this out tomorrow. And I'll probably finish this guy like with my morning coffee. So the afternoon, when I'm not building online teaching models because classes start this week, I will be starting to work in on the epic insanity that is, I'm trying not to say that anymore, in the sort of epic adventure that is the beading on this thing. So it calls for so many beads, but it's going to be gorgeous. So that's Jeweled Baubles. The Jeweled Baubles. Jeweled Baubles? Did I write it down? Jeweled Baubles. But it will be bejeweled. And totally will be done for the next holidays. And this one is in my holiday project bag that I picked up, I think on Stash Unload. I'm not usually a super pink person, but the back of this is Christmas flamingos. I went through a total flamingo phase a couple years ago. I saw, if you have a chance and you're into cool animals, look up The Busy Life or The Busy Day of Bob the Flamingo. It was a photo story done by Audubon all about this flamingo who was this rescue bird. And he like goes around and is this ambassador. And so they took these photos of him that are amazing. Him like driving in a car with his like long neck and head going out, kind of like a dog. Or standing there with his little flamingo feet and these ladies in heels. It's adorable. So I love, love, love Bob the Flamingo. And when I was in Amsterdam, they were doing a like news photography art show. And they had these big blow-ups of Bob the Flamingo. And those photos like won an award. And I was texting on my friends like, oh my God, I found Bob the Flamingo in Amsterdam. So excited. And then to go with my flamingo project bag, I also got, it's not on my Q-snap right now, but this different printed Christmas flamingo grime guard. So when I work on jeweled baubles, I'll pop that back on my Q-snap. So those are what I'm currently working on, and I'll be focusing on guns and ships, except for Sundays when I'll be doing my holiday stitching. And that's probably going to be more or less it. I might do a few small things here and there until we get to May. And then I'll like start the things because this will be my first mania. I'm excited. I'm kitting up left, right, and center. Trying to get everything squared away. And, you know, I called myself the Rainy Day Stitcher. It's a story for another day. But I probably should have called myself like Overly Ambitious Stitcher. Because I'm kitting up another Heaven and Earth design and shadowing and all kinds of stuff. So I have a little bit of haul, and the first of it is some beads that I got. I'm trying to sort of just source a little bit at a time for the pocketbook. I'm on a teacher's salary, right? But I got some beads, some delicas, and some little Swarovskis. So this will be for the shadow lane that I'm going to start, which is Weeping Willow Keep. That I got the pattern on Stash Unload randomly on the Total Cheapsies. This week I also received a couple of needle minders that I ordered from Kim's Needle Minders on Etsy. So we've got super awesome tatted up punk rock Tinkerbell. I love her so much. And then today's forecast, cross-stitching with a chance of cussing. I'm trying really hard to keep this video kind of clean. When I'm not teaching, I curse like a sailor. So I'm all about the F-bomb and all of that. So, like, that's perfect. I showed that to my kid, and they freaked out. When they were, like, 8 years old, I went to New York for a couple of days for a conference, and she told me she was all ready for it because she made a swear jar for when I came back. Because she knew going there and being with my peeps, it was going to be bad. The next thing that I got this week was also from Stash Unload. It's this Better Homes and Garden Needlework Treasures magazine from 1992, I think. Yep, 1992. And I bought it specifically for this cover pattern. I am not especially religious, although no judgment if you are. It's just not really my thing. I don't stitch a lot of stuff with Bible verses or anything like that. But I'm going to come in so you can see I'm a medieval art historian, and this illuminated manuscript page with all of this like foliage marginalia is absolutely legit, and I am here for it. I love it. So when I saw this, I knew, okay, I gotta get this. And then once I got it, I flipped through, and there's several, actually, surprisingly for being an older magazine, awesome charts in here that I really like. And one that I'm going to show you because I really kind of want to start it this year is this one. This is the Spanish sampler. And it is absolutely influenced by the different artistic moments of Spain. I should say that I'm a medieval / Renaissance art historian, but one of my specialties is art in Spain. So when I saw the Spanish sampler, I freaked out and I was like, I have to make this and put it in my office if I'm ever allowed in my office ever again. We're on 25% capacity, so the people teaching on campus get their offices, and those of us teaching just on Zoom like me have been like banned except for Saturday nights. So that's when I go and do all my scanning and stuff. I have one last thing to show you other than my finger coming in because I just got a 10% battery warning, is that today when I went down to the mailbox, I got my Frogwarts Year 1 sampler band. This thing is beautiful, and I of course already bought my box for Frogwarts Year 2 this July. Still on sale if you want to like hang out with me on Zoom or Teams or Facebook, whatever. My, J.K. Rowling right now is really problematic, but in our household we have decided that we can still be in love with the world of Harry Potter and not support J.K. Rowling. I'm kind of assuming that the Black Needle Society, like, this is okay, if you know what I mean. If you know what I mean. So I talked with my kid and we decided we're okay with this. And we love the sampler band, and I'm totally stoked for Frogwarts Year 2. 12 months ago, I had no idea that stitching retreats were even like a thing. And now I am so I'm ready. I'm like, yes, let's do this. And the Black Needle Society threw in this adorable little needle minder. I'll come in close, hopefully it'll zoom in on it, of a chocolate frog box. And I saw an unboxing video of Frogwarts Year 1. And if you had done Year 1, it came with your name on it instead of the little frog. But I actually really like the little frog. Frogs were kind of my thing for a while too. I like go through the menagerie animals with some regularity. So yeah, I thought this was awesome. I love it. So that's my haul. That's my whips. That's a little bit of who I am. My phone is going to die any minute now. So I guess it's time to wish you a stitchy couple of weeks. Stay safe. Stay healthy. And I wish you all the best. Thanks, everyone.